And they've had several reviews there, including the footprint of, the wall materials, water handling, planting, bushes, trees, and things like that. And, primarily tonight, we are here to address the issue of the wall. And we can get started as soon as you.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
I know there was a notice the first time they appeared, which explained the reasons for their requests and what they were seeking. I know they've been meeting for several months with other boards. I noticed that in this package, there is nothing that changes the actual requests or the dimensions or any of the other data that we normally get. And I wanted to know before we get started whether I'm missing something in my package or whether there are no changes at all from the original information that we got.
After we left you, you asked that we go to the planning board. Paul Petretti, civil engineer, Dan Sherman, landscape architect, owner, Michael Savali. Okay, so as I read what was going on the last time, you asked that I go back to the planning board and take a look at the wall system. Okay, in the interim, in the process of doing that, the owner and the wife decided on a different wall configuration. So we abandoned the original application with the walls that had tiers. Okay, so we went to the planning board and we gave them a new application.
Bruce, to answer your question too, from the first application, one of the walls did change a little. It's not as high, but they still need a variance for the same height on the side wall.
The very high point is reduced.
That hasn't changed.
Yeah, listen, I'll go through it. Okay, be easy to see it. So this is what's called the side wall. Okay, the side wall starts here at station 0 + 0, which is the beginning of the wall. Okay, and it comes like this. It's the same wall that you saw on the previous application. Okay, and it continued and went like this, and then there were a series of walls down here. We're no longer proposing that. So this is the same wall here. Now they want a smaller wall here, independent. There's some terracing in here. Landscape architect has nice pictures he can show you. And it steps down and steps down. This wall here starts at 0 height, goes through here. Midpoint of this curve, it's 8 foot 10 inches high. So it goes from 0, 1 foot high, 2 foot high, 3 foot high, and then it comes back up to 5 foot high. Okay, so that's pretty much the same wall last time. The height is not 9 foot, but it's 8 foot 10. Circles around here, goes around these nice rock outcrops, and then ends here at 0 height. So 0 height, maximum height 8 foot 10 inches. Then let me speak to wall number 1. It's on an arc, it's curved. Okay, station 0 over here, 0 height. Goes over here, 6 foot height. So it goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. That's it. That's the application. It was reviewed by the planning board, and I believe that they made some kind of recommendation. Any questions?
Just the most basic one to start with. You are getting closer to, as far as height, being code compliant. You were able in one area to have the tallest area of the wall be 6 feet. But in the other area, you reduced it 2 inches, which is nothing. Was there any attempt to reduce that wall to 6 feet so that we could not need you would not need what I think is a variance in that particular wall?
I mean, you could attempt to do that, but we're trying to make this level. I think some of hold on, okay. We're trying to make this a level area. We know that there's rock in here. I don't want to do any cutting in here, okay, to lower this. I mean, there's a reason behind the engineering behind this. It's a very good reason. Okay? Very steep slope, make this flat. Try not to encroach in any rock. We know there's rock here. It's all over the place. Okay? And that was the reason why I kept this at this height. I'll say something about the planting. There is substantial planting. There are very 15-foot-high evergreens in here, okay, arborvitaes, okay? And they're going to be replanted over here, and it'll completely hide anything that's there. If you drive by that house, maybe you can see how dense they are, okay? You're not going to see it. But technically, this is the responsible thing to do. There's a lot of good things here, too, okay? I'm putting stormwater management in here, okay? There is none at all in the whole project. This is not part of your application, but driveway's going to be repaved, there's no stormwater management. I'm picking up the stormwater from here and bringing it over here, putting it in the stormwater system. So there's some really good parts of this application with this wall system. Okay, right now, stormwater, we had a very bad storm a couple of days ago. A lot of water runs down, okay, just whoosh. Put fertilizer on the lawn, okay? You can't, it's very hard to mow in the first place, and whoosh, it goes down. There'll be zero runoff from these two wall systems, okay, zero. And village engineer reviewed it, okay, and they like that. So technically, I think this is the responsible thing to do.
But in terms of the rock, the potential rock that's immediately under the grass, why does that come into play? Because you're not cutting. If you lowered the wall just another couple feet, it's just less fill, right? You just have to walk downhill a little bit further to get to the level plane. It's not, say, at 200, maybe it's at 197 or 198 or something like that. So it's just like a little further you're walking down to still a flat terrace, still behind a retaining wall. But I think what you're getting at is like,
Exactly.
we're that close, like why not
not do it?
why not get to a point where you don't need the variance at all?
Well,
Because it's not a cutting issue. The cutting issue probably has to do with the stormwater management system that you're putting in there.
well, if I lower this, then I got to put another wall in here. Okay. So
Because he's got to
from
safeguard
an
that
engineering
tree.
standpoint, I don't think this is a very high wall, okay, number one, personally. Okay, and some of you were on the board when I represented other walls, okay, and I failed to see why you're having a difficulty with this. I really don't want to cut it down, and I want to make this as flat as I can, so these kids can use it and enjoy it. I think
Well,
this-
the initial plans had it at 11 feet,
Yeah.
so it's 8, 10 now. So that's a 2-foot plus reduction.
On the center wall, not on the south wall.
No, at the circle, the high point. The center wall doesn't need any variances. It's lower than it was, but did it need a variance before?
No, no, it was a double-tier wall system over here.
I guess I'm missing that. 'Cause it looked like
And
the,
it went like this and went like that.
before the top of wall was at 200, and the current top of wall is at 200, so maybe I'm missing something. Is it the elevation of the wall on the south side was at 200,
Yes,
and it's currently at 200.
that's right. I didn't change that.
Oh.
The only thing is I looked at the detail, I did a detail through here, to see how high the wall is, and it's 8 foot 10 inches. Yeah. I mean, the benefit to the applicant to do this wall system is pretty good. The benefit to the environment with the stormwater runoff is quite an enhancement. And I think that should also be considered in the dialogue.
The water, you're collecting it, and what, you're just routing it down to the stream?
No.
You're routing it to the stormwater system?
Yeah, so currently, there's no stormwater management here. What I've designed is new catch basins and a piece of pipe in here. That, I'm using a trick, okay, that I've used many times before. I'm using a large diameter 10 to 12-inch pipe, perforated 3/4-inch stone around it, filter fabric around it. The lesser rainfall events, any of the water from here probably never get to this larger stormwater system. These are 30-inch perforated pipes, surrounded by fabric, like kind of stuff. And then there's an overcoat, okay, and it's sized, okay? So I do a lot of this, okay? We had a crazy storm the other day, right? It was really crazy. It had some impacts on some of the things that weren't. That very intense, they tell me, I looked at the records, okay, National Weather Service, somewhere between 3 and 5.7 inches in Tarrytown. I don't know how they got it so accurately in all the villages, but they have a way to do it now. That kind of rainfall event would be totally contained with these two systems.
Could I, is installing that stormwater management system, is that dependent on being able to have an 8-foot wall?
No, I truthfully,
So, I mean, it seems like we're talking about apples and oranges. We're happy you're doing the stormwater, the system does seem very nice, but I don't think it has anything to do with why you need the variance.
you know, obviously, and it's, this is a great benefit, the applicant is a great benefit, piece of property. It's not like you're building a house from scratch. Taking a piece of property that is too steep, unorganized, okay, we want to clean it up. So, listen, we have a difference of opinion on that. I think it's a great benefit here, and that should be integrated into the thought process, okay?
I mean, I appreciate what you're saying, but I don't think you're formulating this in a way that addresses our standard, which is there a way to obtain the exact same benefit without us having to grant a variance? And we're open to hearing why that would be, but I'm not hearing that yet.
Okay. The answer to that is yes. If I pile soil in front of this wall, put a berm, I can reduce it to 6 feet. Okay? All right. I just think that this is a highly beneficial application that I should consider granting. If you
But
put-
a berm is also a stormwater mitigation technique. There are lots of landscape architects and civil engineers who use berms to control water flow
Well,
when they don't want to build a wall. So,
so I don't, listen, I can put it in front of this. I could just pile soil in front of it. And I, right now, I don't buy into the issue of there is so much runoff coming off this site. This does it, captures it. I justified that with the village engineer. We went from, I reduced this by 98%, substantial. And,
Is a berm a more attractive solution? Doesn't seem to be to me.
berms can be very attractive. Storm King, which is a sculpture park,
Well-
uses berms as part of
it's not even a
an
berm,
installation
pile
technique.
soil. up.
Yes, but it takes away from the goal, which is a flat area for the kids.
That's a big property. I went to it the first time before, when it first appeared months ago, and I went back yesterday. So I was curious to see how the property fared after the runoff and after the rain, because I knew Sunday, Monday's rains were severe. So I went there yesterday just to see what it looked like. There's no question it's a steep property. It's a property that's similar to many properties in the village. And it's no question that there's a benefit to the owner to making portions of his and her property flatter for the benefit of their children. But there's plenty of land there. You could have plenty of flat land and still have the application being compliant with the code.
Where would you see that?
It's a huge property.
Where's the flat part?
You have to make it flat, but you could make it flat, build the walls, make the walls code compliant, and if need be, do a burn, and still have the land. And still keep some of the natural feel of the property, which is also a benefit.
Well, but you're limited with the big trees have to remain at their ground level. You can't flatten things without killing these,
Absolutely.
50-year-old trees.
I've seen the trees, I know the slope into the golf course. The golf course probably would love the fact that there'll be less runoff onto it, but, you know, there's other
No,
factors.
it doesn't affect the golf.
It really doesn't?
No, no.
Is it right
This-
like that?
This thing runs underneath, except for a spot where I lose golf balls every once in a while. Sad.
Anyway.
Hi, I'm Mike, excuse me, Mike Savali, the owner. Maybe I'll just put some pictures to this so that we actually have the benefit of pictures here. We've gone over this, all right, that's all right, so here's the house, the front of the house, front, back of the house. Here we go, okay. Front of the house, back of the house, side of the house, you use the benefit of the drone there, the neighborhood. This is the back of the house from the golf course, the rock. No one's raising any issues with this. Obviously, a major improvement to what this fall hazard area looks like. This is the side of the yard facing the other neighbor where the larger wall is from the front and back. This is what we're looking at right now, towards the neighbor's side. And so one of the objectives of the project was originally we had it as one continuous piece of land that was really a big field. We looked at the mass of the backyard walls and the tiering of them. Those were really large structures, and that's where we were going to have kind of call it your sports field area. We looked at that mass and decided that we wanted to change things to have more of an entertainment formal space right behind the backyard, and then on the side yard as more of the the flat area. So we've reduced significantly, probably by half, I think, the amount of fill required, the amount of flat land that I ultimately am achieving. So there is, a lot of the focus has become on the left side for me because that's where I really get the play field, if you will. And I think I mitigate the issues, and obviously there's a weighting factor that I want to focus on some of the factors. So this is a bird's eye view of the house. Obviously you can see this is a unique neighborhood. You guys are aware of the neighborhood. Houses are not very close together in this neighborhood. An 8-foot wall or a 9-foot wall in this neighborhood is very different than if it was in a lot of the other school districts, streets in town. So the neighbor's property, if this is showing up correctly, 170 feet away from this wall. So this is the drone looking at it. So no one will argue that for about half of the year, this is naturally not something that anyone can see. The only people that could actually see the wall is the golf course and the neighbor behind me, and both of them have signed letters of approval. This neighbor can't see the wall during half of the year. So this was the original rendering of the first wall that we brought to you on the backyard. This was a comparable in terms of the way that circular backyard looked. This is Mr. Malone's house, I think, across the street. And so this is the new rendering, right? The formal area is smaller in the backyard. Talked about, I don't think anyone is talking, so we're just talking about the size of the wall. So let me just finish with this, which is, these were the trees in the front of my house 4 years ago, and these are the trees now. Trying to get my kids involved to figure out how to explain this to people. Here's my son, Nate. We have a pool stick that's 15 feet high, okay? Okay, so we've gone to the front yard, and Nate's helped me determine that the trees are 15 feet high. I've said from the beginning that we don't like the trees blocking the house. The trees are going to be removed. So let's look at the side yard. So here I went, again, 170 feet away from where this wall is going to be located. On the left, you'll see this is a part of my house. The ground level is 207, and the top is about 214. I wanted to show you pictures from 170 feet away, both at ground level and above, without anything blocking the view. Can anyone tell what is all the way at the end of the picture? Here's a very close-up. So here we have my son, Nate. He's 3 feet 2 inches. We have my daughter, Scarlett. She's 5 feet 3 inches. There's a 2-foot difference in their height. Not only do we have that, we have the sticks. The sticks there are 8 feet. I tried, with my kids' help, we created a black canvas. I couldn't get up to 15 feet without creating danger. So I got up to 10 feet and I stapled this black canvas on trees, just to show you, what if I had 10-foot trees blocking the wall? Now, look at the pole. The pole is 15 feet. That's where the trees are going to be, from the front of my house to the side of my house. 15-foot trees. Okay, so if there are 15-foot trees, next, my daughter, we built a makeshift wall. This wall is 8 feet long, and it's sitting basically as close to the trees as it's going to be in our design. I went across the street with the cooperation of my friendly neighbor across the street, and I took pictures from this side. Obviously, you can't see that there's an 8-foot wall behind those 15-foot trees. Here we are. I'm taking these pictures at 80 feet. Imagine what it looks like at 170 feet. This is what it looks like at 10 feet. Can't see anything, but I guess I had to be fair. On the right side, if you really look carefully, you can see a hand. That's from 10 feet away. So the way that I view this, and the neighbors were at the AHRB meeting and planning board meeting, they were focused on the trees, and I think the trees were part of, the resolution. It also solves an issue for me, which is I want to have some privacy and have that be our little, corner of the yard. It leads down into the stream. My kids play a lot in the stream. We're going to see the wall. The wall, from a size perspective, to me, is not relevant to the side neighbors. They will never be able to see it. And so, on a balancing of the factors, yes, could I create a wall system that is only 6 feet? Yes, it significantly will reduce the quantity of flat land that I have on that side. I understand, the position that you're in trying to minimize them and look for alternatives. But you don't have anyone that can see the wall that's complaining.
As an aside, I want to commend you, the creative use of engaging your children in this project.
Thank you.
Hopefully will create future architects and engineers.
It was better than trying to answer the questions as to why we can't start building. I will tell you also that I have some elderly family members who have visited on more than one occasion, and when they come to the house, they say, "Mike, you just bought the house. Why are you selling it?" Because they've seen the signs, and they forget about it the next time when they come. So it's been a process, and I did enjoy. They were going to be here for this meeting. They're in camp. They'll be watching it because they did help me actually prepare the pictures and the material. So
It was well done.
So you're saying that the trees at the front of the house you're moving them?
Yep, all of them are being moved over there as shown in the plans, and has always been part of what we contemplated to be the approval here.
And that's part of your site plan?
Absolutely.
Mr. Chairman, one of the conditions too from the planning board was asking if you're in the resolution, they could put that the shrubs and the trees would be maintained. That if they are,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And I've agreed to that since day one.
We had a letter from a neighbor.
Yes.
Do we need to read it into record? Do we need to, is there a discussion around it?
Just so you know, that letter was sent before the last, we met last week at the AHRB. That letter was sent before that meeting, and the neighbor was present also at that meeting, just so you know.
Because we just got that letter yesterday or
Yes,
today.
it was dated.
Okay, so I didn't look at the date.
Yeah,
I got it today.
I was confused
Yeah.
too until I talked with Steve Hunter. But we don't typically read stuff in, although we probably should note that it's, we have, correspondence
Right,
from
you
the
could,
Sibleys.
Yeah, their address isn't on the letter, so does anybody know?
The
They are
house
the neighbors.
just to
Yeah,
the
no,
left.
no, I know, I mean, I just
Yeah.
wondered for the record.
Well, that's good, because I wasn't sure which of the two houses are in close proximity.
Here, I'll show you.
Across the street, this one to the left.
I'll show you here. So this is mine on the bottom side here. This is the Sibleys. This is the other neighbor that I wrote letters for. The Sibleys are here. And the other thing I should have pointed out, my last point. Promise. When you look at their house, the garage, the driveway comes into the garage. There's only a tiny fraction of their house where there are windows actually facing my house, because all of their house is facing the same way as my house. So, and I don't know what is here, but this is the only part that can actually see my house. And, oh, by the way, you can't see my house.
I was told it was a kitchen.
Okay.
Kitchen and their deck, front deck. Out there.
Yeah, I can't remember. Should we, is there anyone out in Zoom land that would like to speak?
Well, I think unless someone convinces me otherwise, I think I'm convinced that the change is not, with the plantings and the trees, the change will not have a noticeable unfavorable effect on the character of the neighborhood. So with that, I don't see a basis for disapproving.
Anybody else have?
No, I have nothing else.
Move to close? Second. All in favor? I move that the application be granted in accordance with the plans presented. And what's the date on these? Received June 27th. I'm not sure what the date is. And we'd reiterate that the shrubbery has to continue to be maintained. You're going to be putting in a lot of stuff, so I'm sure you'll have plenty of gardeners. But particular attention should be paid to those. Okay.
You didn't call for a vote.
All in favor?